you not harden the target by letting that teacher do so? Because you know what? They're not just there to teach. They're there to protect your children. I give you my children for the day. I expect you to take care of my children for the day. Teach them, instruct them, mentor them, and protect them because, doggone it, I want my kid back at the end of the day. I think everybody does. So why wouldn't you? It's a pretty simple thing. Doesn't cost anything extra. Maybe a little training money, right? And I think the federal government said, we'll pay for it.
You know, there's a scene in the movie 1517, Joe. There's a scene in the movie 1517 to Paris where a number of Air Force students, these are airmen in the Air Force, and they're in a classroom situation and they're learning biology and medical techniques. And then there's a shooter, armed shooter presence alert gone out. And the teacher tells everybody, get under your desks, put a desk up by the door, and I'm thinking, yeah, this is the military. That's just wonderful. Just like Fort Hood, right? Run and hide. Yeah. And the protagonist, against the orders of his teacher, who was a sergeant, against the orders, goes and stands next to the door that's barricaded with a desk and is standing there with a ballpoint pen, poised to put it through the throat of whoever comes through that door. Right. Now, wouldn't it be much better to have a gun in your hand? Even if you weren't trained, you point, you shoot, you're 3 feet away. I'm not so concerned about training at that point. If that Parkland coach who stood in front of his students had a gun in front of him when he stood in front of them, yeah, story different.
Yeah. That meme that you sent around on Twitter, it's a meme, right? It's just a little cartoon. It's a teacher with holding all the kids behind her, and then the second meme is the same teacher with all the kids behind her, except now she's got a gun in her hand.
Yes, pointing it ahead. Yep.
Yeah, now she can take care of the kids, and that's the way it should be. Derek, you got track one. This is Rep. Thomas Massey being interviewed by Chuck Todd. I call him Chuck Toddler because you can listen to the way he tries to twist the conversation. Go ahead and play track one.
Look, criminals are going to get a hold of guns. What we've got to look at is what's the solution. The solution, frankly, you can put more guards at schools. If you have one guard, it's probably a waste of money because you're just endangering that guard unless you have two guards. And anybody that's in security profession knows that. But what you need are some of the teachers who are armed. 98% of mass public shootings happen in a gun-free zone. And we've labeled all of our schools as gun-free zones. We need to take those labels off and put our kids in that 2% category of being safe, instead of being in that 98% vulnerable category.
Let me ask you this. A majority of the country disagrees with you, right? You have wrong. We have 65% in a recent poll,
by Chuck Todd.
And it's been across the board. It doesn't matter which poll. That in general, the public would like stricter regulation of gun sales in some form or another. You're proposing weaker. I understand that. You're from a rural state, and so let me ask you this though. Shouldn't that matter?
Well, you're in a bubble. You're in a bubble there.
65% of the country disagrees with you. Do you have do you have an obligation to legislate on behalf of them at all?
You're in a bubble. If you take out New York and California, 8% of Americans have concealed carry permits. And the people watching this show right now, there are a lot of them getting ready for church in middle America, putting their guns on. Millions of them. They're going to be carrying guns to church and a family dinner after that, and they're going to be safe.
My hands
and
up.
So, all these things, these hypotheticals that come out of the bubble in D.C. or New York City or California, what if this happens, what if that happens? We don't have to ask what if this happens. People are carrying every day.
I guess I go back to is what are you so opposed to expanding the background check system? Why do you make this argument that says, well, if you just pass more gun laws, it won't matter, criminals get it? Then why do we pass any laws? Like, why do we pass laws on drugs? Why do we pass laws on murder?
We enforce
what we have. Stop right there. So he just hit what you and I talked about earlier in the show, right? Why do we pass any laws? To punish the bad people. Because you're not going to stop them, Chuck, you retard.
Yep, just gives you a reason to punish them.
It's all it does. Laws are to punish the criminals. They're not there to stop any. They're never going to stop a criminal. Piece of paper, words on a piece of paper somewhere are not stopping criminals because they're criminals. They don't follow the law.
Hey, folks, by the way, if you don't know this and you carry, you're not allowed to carry on a church unless you ask your pastor for permission. Get that permission. I know churches that you'd be in a lot of trouble. You tried to start something in that church.
Yeah. So there you go. But I hate watching these liberal media, it just drives me insane. I do it to myself, and I probably shouldn't, right? But I have to force myself to watch NBC, CNN, MSNBC a little bit, right? But to the same fact, and I was so proud of Steve Gruber last week talking about the school shooting, because he made mention, and I mentioned it to you earlier. Not one of these mass shootings, not one of these school shootings has happened in an inner city school, has it?
Nope.
Detroit, Chicago, L.A., Baltimore, any of the big city schools where they have what in the school system?
Guards.
Guards. Police. Here in Detroit, we have an agreement. They actually have like a Detroit school police section, right? So there's cops in the schools, armed cops with guns, and they also have a lot of metal detectors. And they have more secure lockdowns at these schools. That's why you're not seeing mass shootings in the big inner city schools. I know the first, we laugh, because all the kids are carrying guns. No, but now outside the school, probably yes. I would say so.
Speaking of that, I told you about that New York Times article. There's one legislator, a liberal, who said, "Oh, what do you expect women to do?" Heard on Dana Lash's show. How do you expect women teachers to carry? They're wearing dresses. They don't have pockets. They're going to have a holster. They're going to open carry. And this New York Times article was pretty supportive of an idea. I was really surprised. They were talking about how guns are distributed in schools to teachers right now as far as who's allowed to carry. And in Dayton, there's a school district that has biometric gun safes posted in different rooms with Glocks, multiple magazines filled, and then nearby a bulletproof vest. And only authorized people have the thumbprint that will get into that safe. Problem solved.
Right. Yeah, I mean, how do women? Women can be as good, if not better, shooters than men. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts.
My wife's good.
I don't want to ever hear somebody say women can't do. That's nonsense. Women are more capable of being good shooters than men, in my book. Maybe not. I don't know. But
they follow the rules more. You ever notice women are kind of meticulous? Like, they'll get the stance straight. They'll do the sight. Reason, yeah. Right? Guys will point and shoot.
And there's something, it's like the Vegas. I'm putting my tinfoil hat on. We haven't heard the full truth about Vegas. Man. I believe there was a second shooter. I think they're hiding something from us. And the fact that you had so many things pointing to this kid in Florida, and this sheriff not sending the sheriff's deputies in.
Liberal
sheriff. I'm telling you, there's something super fishy going on. I can smell it from here, and that's 1,500 miles away, 1,200 miles away. Something's funny going on in Florida with that shooting, I'm telling you, because 45 local police interactions with this kid and nothing was done, plus the FBI ignoring it. Yeah, I'm thinking that something was not.
I'm still wondering what's going on with the Nevada thing, except, the town was founded by the mob. You just don't expect much out of Las Vegas.
Derek, do we have time to get in this next track? All right, so we're going to swap over and go to tariff because I want to talk to Tim. We got Congressman Tim Walberg calling in the next half hour here. Let's play this track for the tariff because I want to get this out of the way. People say, having the tariff on steel and aluminum is going to hurt us as consumers. That's a load of bunk. Go ahead and play track 2.
This is not the first time that we've put tariffs on steel. We have tariffs on many forms of steel. The reason that we've had to go this route is that the conventional trade methods don't solve the problem of systemic global overcapacity and global dumping. Because you put a tariff on it coming from one country, they transship it through another one. So it has to be broad, it has to be global in its reach in order to solve the fundamental problem.
All right, that's Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, right? And this is something that has to be. We used to have a viable steel industry in this country. We used to, and we let it go away. And all I can tell people is this. I know there are issues. I know trade wars are something that people worry about, right? A country that can't make its own steel, can't make its own tanks,
exactly.
Ships,
it's a national
planes,
defense issue.
All right? If you end up in a war and you can't – are we buying our steel from China, right?
Yeah.
And if you go to war with China, what happens?
They won't sell us any more cruise missiles either.
That's right. All right, so we'll see you all on the other side of the break.
With no direction, too much. You're making me forget myself. Let's take a ride.
People are always on the go, driving to work, running errands. How do they keep informed? They listen to Wham Talk 1600 just like you. If you're a business owner, your message can reach these people wherever their travels take them. People tune to Wham Radio for the latest issues, discussed by hosts like Joe Pags, Fayrone X, and Dana Lesh. And they'll stay tuned for your message as well. Call 734-971-1600 today and advertise your business with Wham Radio and whamradio.com. Whamradio.com.
Fox News Radio, I'm Karen McHugh. President Trump taking hits from both sides and from overseas over his proposed tariffs on imported steel and aluminum, but not everyone's against the idea.
The president is winning allies among labor unions. The president of the AFL-CIO, Richard Trumka, says steel and aluminum tariffs are, quote, good steps toward fixing predatory practices that hurt workers and cheat companies that produce in the U.S.
Fox's Molly Henneberg. From Sandy Hook to Florida's Parkland High, Democrats using their weekly address to spotlight Congress's inaction when it comes to gun safety in schools.
Between just these two shootings, Congress did precisely nothing to remove weapons of war from our streets. Nothing to tighten background checks. Nothing to keep guns out of the hands of dangerous individuals.
California Senator Dianne Feinstein. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Families hit by drug addiction already know how difficult this problem is to solve. In many cases, addicts have tried multiple 28-day or 12-step programs that did not work. Narconon Freedom Center believes that addiction is neither inherited nor an incurable disease that requires indefinite treatment or medication for the rest of a person's life. Narconon Freedom Center's drug addiction program consists of unique techniques to assist addicts to overcome drug and alcohol dependencies and the damaging effects to an addict's life. This is done naturally, and there is no substitution drug to handle one drug addiction by inheriting another. Narconon Freedom Center's goal is for each individual to achieve and maintain long-term success. Any family member or loved one of an addict, please do not hesitate to call Narconon Freedom Center at 517-629-6749 and reach out for help. That's 517-629-6749. We are in this battle together, and as a team, we can fix the problem of addiction.
Your bridge to recovery and wellness is Wellbridge. Wellbridge is redefining the rehabilitation and nursing care experience with the most amazing care facilities you've ever seen. All Wellbridge locations offer a resort-like atmosphere, and their driving goal is to provide each guest with an epic experience. Here's former patient Evelyn Danielson from Brighton.
It was excellent. It wasn't only just the physical part of it, doing your exercises with them. It was the RNs, even down to the kitchen people that came in and said, what can we fix you? What do you like? We'll try to do it for you. And everything with a smile. I couldn't get over. I would heartily recommend Wellbridge.
For rehabilitation and nursing care, ask for something epic. Ask for Wellbridge. In Brighton, Fenton, Novi, and Pinckney. Now looking for talented nurses and certified nurse assistants to join their growing team, Wellbridge invites everyone to learn more about them at thewellbridgegroup.com. Wellbridge, your bridge to recovery and wellness starts here.
Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in to Catch Our Drift. In studio with me, Ipsy Ed Bonderenka.
Howdy.
Hey. So, if Easter Sunday's coming up, right?
Yeah.
Burroughs is going to have Easter Sunday buffet with seating at 9:30, 11, 12:30, and 2 p.m., and then an Easter dinner at 3:30, 5 p.m., and 6:30. If you haven't been to Burroughs Roadhouse, Burroughs-Roadhouse.com.
That's a nice place.
Very nice place.
Yeah.
Great food.
Classy.
Jim is the owner out there, and they do a wonderful job. They got some St. Patrick Day specials as well. Shepherd's pie, Reuben's, lamb stew, corned beef and cabbage, the whole 9 yards.
Beer.
Yeah, and then comedy shows every Friday. right?
Yep.
And beer, yes. Yeah, St. Patty's Day's Saturday this year.
Yes.
Yay, go me. Okay, I don't know if I should do a show.
You won't miss work. I'll cover for you. I don't drink. I'll cover for you.
There you go. Maybe I won't come in on St. Patty's Day.